Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be discussing about the law of cosines. However, before I watch any further, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any of my videos. And if you do enjoy this video, don't forget to share this link to your friends and hit the like button. In my previous videos, I've shown you about the law of sines. And they're very useful because they can be used to find out an angles and other sides of a triangle. For example, let me give you one triangle. Let's say that it has side of 5 centimeter and two of its angles are, let's say, 30 degrees and 45. And just with this information, you can figure out the other sides and angles. So, just a quick recap about the law of sines. The law of sines tells you that the ratio between one angle and its opposite sides are always equal. Also, if you want to know more about law of cosines, don't forget to check out my previous videos because in there I'll tell you about the details of the law of sines. So, as I was saying, the ratio between one angle to its opposite sides are always equal. So that says that they're always a pair. One's angle, let's say this one, A, and one of its opposite sides. In this case, it's this one. However, what if we don't have any pairs? We do have, let's say, one side or two angles or one angle and two sides, but there is no pair at all. Then, you're going to need to use the law of cosines. So, let me just draw out one triangle. Let's say that this side is 19 centimeter and this one has 12. And let's say that the angle between those two sides are 60 degrees. And we are asked to find this side. Let's label it as C. Okay, as I was saying before, in this triangle, there are no pairs at all. Because the pairs are one angle and its opposite sides. The only angle we know is 60 degrees, and the opposite side is C, and we don't know what C. So, let's go to our law of cosines. So then, what is the law of cosines? Well, we can put the law of cosines into one equation that says C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine of theta. But don't get intimidated with this long and hairy equation, because once you know about the law of cosines, it's very useful and very simple. So, what are these C, A, and B? Well, we know that theta is going to be our angle, which is our 60 degrees. So C is going to be the side that is opposite to it, which is this one. So I label it with the correct way, C. And A and B are the other two sides. You can label it this A and this B, or the opposite. So let's say this is A and B. Okay, but if you take a look a little bit closer upon our law of cosines equation, you can see that part of it are exactly the Pythagorean Theorem, which is C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. That's exactly our Pythagorean Theorem. Well, if our angle is 90 degrees, then it will be true. We're using a Pythagorean Theorem. So, what the law of cosines do is that it reforms the Pythagorean Theorem equation and makes it that is able to be used for any arbitrary angle, for 60, 70, 35, anything. So then, let's plug in our equation and our information. So then, C squared is going to be our unknown. C squared is equal to A squared, which is just 19 squared, plus B squared. B squared is just 12 squared, minus 2 times A, which is 19, times B, which is 12, times cosine of 60. So then, because we know that cosine of 60 is equal to half, so we can put it that this is going to be basically half. So then, because we know that 19 squared is equal to 361, squared is 144. So then we can plug in our 2ab cosine of theta. Because cosine of 60 is half and this is 2 times, it can just cancel out. So it's 19 times 12. And 19 times 12 is equal to 228. So this has to be minus 228. So then c squared is going to be 505 minus 228. So then it will be, let's see, it's going to be 300, so 28, so 27, 7. So c squared is going to be 277. So then, to erase just any irrational number, c is going to be the square root of 277, which we can simplify into decimal, but they'll be irrational. So let's just do it with an irrational number like here. So then we can just simplify it. But because this is a prime number, we cannot further simplify. So then c is the square root of 277. It's very exciting, right? Because just by using law of cosines, we can figure out the sides of it. And if you're guessing, yes, we can also figure out the angles. So then, let's go into some questions that I've exactly prepared for this. See, the first question is going to be figuring out one of these angles. So, let me just erase some spaces right over here. Our two triangles. Okay. In here, we're given one triangle. There are no angles, but 3 sides, 50, 20, and 60 centimeters, and we're asked to find theta. So, let's just put in our equation, our law of sines. So then, it's going to be about c squared, which is going to be 20 centimeter, as I said before, the side opposite of our angle. So you can just say that c squared is 20 squared. It's going to be a squared, which is 50 squared, plus b squared, 60 squared, minus 2ab, which is 2 times 50 times 60, times by cosine of theta. So then, 20 squared is 400, 50 squared is 2500, 50 squared is 2500, 60 squared is 3600. So we can just add it up and the answer will be 6100 minus 2 times 50 times 60, which is just 6000, times by cosine of theta. So then, let's just put some algebra here. So then, let's just times both sides by -1. So we can get that this will be positive. And of course, you can just plus both sides by 6000 times cosine of theta to make it positive, but in this case, let me just times both sides by -1. So then, we will get that -400 is equal to -6100 plus 6000 times cosine of theta. So then, we can just plus both sides by 6100. But just for some space, let me just drag it to here. So then, we get that this whole equation is going to be summed by 6100 at both sides. So in left sides, we'll get 6100. That's going to be summed with -400. And in the right side, because in here is -6100 and we sum it by 6100, those two will cancel out. It's going to be equal to 6000 times cosine of theta. So then, what's 6100 minus 400? That's basically 5900. So 5900. But in here, we get 6000 times cosine of theta. We only want cosine of theta. So how do we do that? We divide both sides by 6000. Divide by 6000. So then, we can just simplify it. This would be equal to 19 over 20. So what do we do next? Well, then we're going to use inverse trig functions, because we know that 19 over 20 is equal to cosine of theta. So to get theta itself, it's going to be equal to inverse cosine of 19 over 20. And if you type it down to our calculator, you can figure out that the answer is approximately 18. Approximately 18. And because it's angles, it's going to be degrees. So then, theta is going to be 18 degrees. So now, for our second triangle, let's just erase this, because we have to figure out our answer. And then, first, let's just skim it a bit. So in this triangle, we must be figuring out one of its sides, labeled as C. Because not only that's the side unknown, but also because we're given two of its angles and one of its sides. Just like our previous question right here. So in here, we can just implement our law of cosines, that C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine theta. So then, as usual, our C squared is going to be the side opposite to our angle. And here is labeled just right. So then C squared, which is our unknown side, is going to be A squared. Let's say 11 squared plus B squared, which is 8 squared, minus 2AB, which is 2 times 11 times 8, times cosine of our angle, 37 degrees. So then, we know that 11 squared is 121. So it's equal to 121 plus 8 squared. 8 squared is 64. Minus 2 times 11 times 8. Well, 11 times 8 is 88. 88 times 2 is 176. Minus 176 times cosine of 37. So, what is 121 plus 64? Well, that's going to be 185. It's equal to 185. Minus 176 times cosine of 37. So all of these is going to be equal to C squared. So, before we get our calculator out, let's just solve directly for C. So, how do we find it? Well, we just square root everything. So, square root of all of these numbers, 185 minus 176 times by cosine of 37. So, what are these equal to? Well, we can plot our calculator and the answer will be approximately 6.6 centimeter, or you can round it to 7. So C is equal to approximately 6.6 centimeter. So isn't it very exciting? Because we, using our law of cosine, can figure out sides and angles of a triangle. And although our law of cosine equation seems very long, but if you deep right through, it's very simple. Also, if you're asking, how do we get this bizarre and hairy equation of C squared equals to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine theta? Well, don't forget to check on my next video, because in there I'm going to be telling you about the proof of the law of cosine. Well, that's all for me. Bye!